You already present so much data about diversity and different people from different race. Does diversity create more problem than without diversity?
I don't know. What do you think? When does diversity create more problems than not having diversity?
I think diversity becomes a problem when people amplify diversity. Like right now, we are talking about different race representation.
Yep.
And if this conversation putting outside the class, I think it become a huge issue, become a huge societal issue instead of just a internal issue in what we're talking about right now.
Well, so what's the point of diversity?
I think diversity is not to include all the people. Diversity is all about respect who you see and make them a community instead of include all of them. Because let's not face the realities. Penn State has a lot of race, even though it's not very balanced among those races. But I think each community gains some sort of respect from their community within. But I think it's not a bad idea to divide people into several groups.
Okay, let me ask a question to a few random people. What's your friend group like? Like when I look in this class, I see the diversity in here, right? And I think, oh my God, like there's so much possibility. Like you have so many opportunities to meet so many people who are different from you. But in fact, do we or do we not do that, and why? What race are your closest friends?
They're mainly white.
And okay, so mainly white. How is it that most of your friends are white up here? Again, don't start that. We start with the assumption that you as a white woman, that shouldn't be true. Like, oh my God, I should be, oh my God, I'm so narrow. Whatever. Don't go there. Don't be like apologetic kind of thing. Like, what do you think leads you to have mostly white friends?
I don't know. It could be even like at home. I live in an area that's mainly white. So at home, most of my friends are white as well. I don't think it's anything that I'm like looking for white friends. It's just kind of happened. Even like at school, I'm like in a sorority that's mainly white.
Just look here. Like, look at all these people that are clearly from different backgrounds, right? Like, look at that dude right there, man. Look at all these people from different countries, different backgrounds, different races, cultures, et cetera, et cetera. What keeps you from that, like really reaching into that? What do you think? What are the barriers? Do you ever think about it?
I guess I don't really think about it.
Okay.
And I guess this is like bringing it more to my attention.
Okay, so one barrier is not thinking about it, which is fine. Most people
like
don't think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've lived your whole life since kindergarten, breathing in and drinking the Kool-Aid of multiculturalism and diversity and treating everybody the same and like all this stuff, right? All this. And here you are. Presumably, if you've lived your whole life with that, like, why are you still here in this place? Why do you think? Okay, so one thing is you say you haven't really thought about it, but you've been taught it your whole life. So you chose, what sorority are you in?
I'm in.
So you're going to be comfortable there. So you're going to hang out with people who are like, it's comfortable, right? What's comfortable about that? That wouldn't be comfortable if you were in an Hispanic sorority or a black sorority?
Like I said, it's nothing that I've really noticed. I guess just I've always felt comfortable, at school and in different social groups because I haven't been the minority. So it's hard for me to put myself in somebody else's shoes and say what it would be like if I was, if I went to a school that was majority Hispanic or black.
Or an HBCU or something.
Yeah, so I think definitely if I was in one of those communities, it would definitely be a different experience. And I've never really experienced it, so it's hard for me to put myself in someone else's shoes.
Yep. Your answers, by the way, are exactly the answer. And so which means like it's perfectly fine. I mean, it's the answer. It's like we don't think about it. We do the things that are most comfortable. You grew up in a way, you didn't choose your community, right? So okay, you grew up, these are your friends, your school, etc. So okay.
Grace was saying that she's just been surrounded by white people. And when she said that, it made me wonder, did she mean like, I'm surrounded, like I'm bored, or just like I'm surrounded? Because I feel like, and anyone, you have thoughts, I don't know, ask for the mic. But I feel like the experience of a minority being in a place that's very white is very much like, I'm just surrounded by fucking white people.
Yeah. No, it's the liberal
So I
white
wonder,
people
do
say that.
white people experience being like, I'm fucking bored of myself or
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
I come from a pretty diverse area, I guess, in Northern Virginia. I would say it was honestly more interesting not being surrounded by white people. I don't know, because it feels like I'd be like looking at myself every time I turn around if there was just white people constantly. Like my friend group at home is really diverse. I'm one of the only 2 white people in the group of like 15 people, so it adds like a whole diverse background. Everyone has their own experiences, especially with family. That like, I don't know, if I was at a pretty white area, it would just be kind of boring being like, oh, we're all basically the same people, just
Yeah,
different faces.
but that's like do you really think that, or were you just taught to think
No,
that?
I just-
Because I don't find white people
think that.
boring at all, by the way. Well, you might be boring. He might be boring, but I don't find white people boring. Do you think that, or were you taught that?
No, I mean, like, I think it goes both ways. I mean, I've just always found like more interest in diversity.
Yeah, speaking to the mic.
Like I've always found more interest in like diverse friend groups. It's just fun learning about like what other people's cultures are like. Because meeting people like me is just, I feel like a copy and paste almost.
Okay, all right. Dude, do you feel like that? No. What do you? How is it for you meeting another white? You're white, right?
Yes.
Do you like being
Yeah.
white?
I don't have anything against it.
All right. Okay, that's good, man. Well, how do you? So you don't feel like that? What do you feel like about being white?
I feel like it's more the people you hang out with. If you hang out with other white people who are the same as you, then you might feel bored. But if you hang out with other white people who have like different pastimes,
Yeah.
or even from different areas of like the United States, then you'll probably not be bored.
Yeah, because you could hang out with black or brown people who are like completely exactly like you. They just happen to have black or brown skin and like whatever. They're the same as you. So that's pretty boring. Okay, so you're saying it's beyond race.
Yeah, because one of my good friends back home is Filipino, and like he grew up with me and all my friends, and he's exactly the same as us.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
So, as a black person, I'm gonna be honest, like, majority of my friend group is black, but it's not because, like, you know, we black people only like black people, but it's like, I speak for, like, a couple of black people I know, there's an uncomfortability with, like, other races, because, like, the truth is, for example, like, Grace grew up with a majority of, like, Caucasian people, and they don't necessarily learn like our culture dynamics or understand it, and that misunderstanding like leads to like uncomfortable moments. But we're pretty lit, to be completely.
Yo, but listen now.
Like I'm telling you, like you know, for like.
No, but
the-
listen. So, but flip that around, right?
Okay.
Like, why would Grace wanna, like, she's gonna be uncomfortable, and you know what I mean? Are black people really gonna accept her? Because like, she's not gonna know what the culture.
I mean,
is
like
and
if
so on.
she's lit, she's invited to the cookout.
I'd
like,
say Grace
you know-
is probably pretty lit.
To be honest, like to speak for like a majority of black people, we're very accepting of like people that are genuine and people that like love you regardless of like what you look like. Even if you like you meet the most pro black African centric person, like
Yeah.
they're still accepting of a Caucasian person.
Dude,
just like
I'm
they're
gonna call bullshit on that.
I'm from a majority black area. I'm from Philadelphia, so I know
Nah, I
a
got
lot
you,
of black people, and a lot of them like are accepting.
I mean a lot of black people who would not. If you brought Grace home as your girl, if you like,
If Grace is lit,
Grace was you.
to the cookout.
But let's say she's not though.
that's
Like
how-
say no, but let's say she's just Grace.
She's not at the cookout. It's just that simple.
She's not what?
She's not at the cookout. She, like, we call the cookout essentially
got
like
it.
acceptance.
Yeah, I got
She's
it.
not in the community if she doesn't fit that standard of being
Okay, all right. So therefore, right, and therefore it's a similar thing, though, right? So
Yeah.
if you could show up like, bro, this guy. Can you stand up for a second again? This is a Mark, right? Yeah, who wrote the book? Yeah, all right. Who wrote the book?
Yeah.
Remember that about how to be organized, how to be an awesome college student, which some of you ought to read his book because, like, whatever. Then he'd fit well. You'd probably fit well in her community, right, bro?
I gotta echo him, mainly because I'm also from Philly, also a black family, kind of Afrocentric. My girl is white. I brought her home, and they were like, "All right, she's dope." You know, they thought it was cool because it doesn't generally happen. I guess they like all like chocolate or whatever. But it's like one of those things where here I actually have like half white friends, which kind of makes sense because it's majority white. But then the other half are just minorities, whether it's Asian, Hispanic, or African American.
Dude, but hang on. But are they lit?
They're always lit, bro.
All right.
If they're not lit, they're not part of who I hang out with. You understand?
Yeah. All right. I got you.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I have more black friends here than I would in Philadelphia because in Philadelphia, you just don't walk up to black people unless you're trying to get mugged or killed. So it makes sense that we would kind of like talk with more of our kind here if you want to go that route because it's a safe space to do it. You can walk up to any black person and they kind of understand. Whereas in Philly, that might not be the safest route or in a big city regardless.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I should start. So I grew up in an entirely white neighborhood. I went to a really big high school, and there were a lot of white people, and a very small percentage of that population was black and Hispanic and Asian. So I grew up, and I'm also from a mixed family too. So like both my parents are white because I was adopted, and so up here, I'm in a friend group with like 20 something people, and I'm one of 2 brown people. No black friends, no Asian friends. And like, honestly, I think at the beginning, once I was like meeting everybody and becoming a part of the group, I was like a little uncomfortable because I felt like, I don't know if I'll be necessarily accepted or I'll be looked at differently just because I'm a really, like there's only 1 or 2 of me. But like over time, as you just meet the people, I think that's when I started to understand, like, it just doesn't really matter your race, your ethnicity. It just, it's the type of person that you are and, the vibes that you give off. So